Good evening, or good night, as it is 11 o'clock here. I was successful in running to the store before it closed. And we're going to get back to work on this water. Let's see what we got going on. Excuse me. So far, this is what it looks like. You know, it's just back there. It looks really bad, but you know, we've got our waterfall width and all those things doing everything that they should. It's got the right shading on it and all that. So we got the panning working properly. So yeah, we didn't have to deform the vertices of the mesh itself and all that. We were able to actually get that with world space stuff. So we got that working properly. Alright, so we need to be able to refract light as it comes through this thing. Ugh. So let's see what we can do here. So basically, when some piece of light passes through here, we need to get that value and we need to do something with it. I have no idea how to do that. So let's, excuse me, I'm going to have to look this up. So let's pull up the documentation. So when light passes through one medium to another, say from air to water, the direction of that light is traveling be altered to mediums meet. The lighting phenomenon is referred to as refraction. You can simulate this lighting phenomenon in your materials by using refraction. Refraction is a term used to describe blah blah blah. Alright, so there's indexes of refraction, using refraction in materials. So we can go find one. So we need translucent objects of some type. So we've got translucent, and change the lighting model from volumetric non-directional to surface translucency volume. Your materials panel should look like this. So surface translucency volume. Alright, let's see if it works. We have surface forward shading, so surface translucency volume. Lighting will be calculated. No, this is. Now that the material has the correct properties, we can start adding our material expression nodes with all the required things. Okay, so refraction. Alright, so we don't need we have surface forward shading, that's fine. And we want surface forward shading because it's got better lighting. But the refraction stuff is here. So it takes in a texture value that simulates the index of refraction of the surface. So in our piece of concept art, we've got this refraction effect here. So what are they doing with this? They're basically saying, like, now the material has correct properties, we can start adding them. So they're using a Fresnel effect on the alpha. With all the required materials added, it's time to start. Like, I wish they gave us at the start, like, what they were trying to do. Like, I guess they're trying to do this. But this is like an explanation of refraction, not an explanation of what they're actually trying to do in this exercise. Alright, so they're applying refraction values based on just stuff you can do. You can see we have like a real smooth, looks all sorts of screwed up. But it's still that they're using this IOR, LERP, and Fresnel stuff in order to actually change it. And we got this is a way to prevent closer objects from rendering distorted due to acute angles and disconnected from the surface. Adding refraction material, especially, is a great way for realistic looking results. Alright, so they're using a Fresnel. And pretty much just hooking Fresnel in there. So why don't we see what the hell Fresnel is real quick, so I don't just like plug in something I really don't understand. Alright, I'll just make sure. Oftentimes, we need to get the highlights. The Fresnel is the term used to describe how the light you see reflects at different angles based off the angle you're viewing it from. For example, if you're standing over a pool looking straight down at it, you would not see a lot of reflections in the water. As you start to move your head so the water in the pool gets more over the eye, you begin to notice more and more reflections in that water. Well, this, I mean, we're going to want to use this big streaky blob thing for our Fresnel. So we might actually need a different normal map for the Fresnel stuff. Okay. So let's see what we can do with this. So we got the Fresnel, we're going to have a LERP here. I like how they don't have it under LERP, they have it under linear interpolation. Alright, so how they set this up is they just said, like, we're going to go from 1 to our index of refraction. So it was looking like this. So we're going to convert this to a parameter. We're going to call this index of refraction. And we're going to set it to 1.5. And supposedly we just chuck this in here and throw refraction on there, and that will work. So we'll apply that and we'll take a look at it and see what happens with this. Guess we're not going to see anything inside of this preview, which isn't going to do much for us. So we're looking at this, and I mean, it looks blurry. What I don't like is that this opacity stuff is all sorts of screwed up over there. Like our opacity should be 0 over there, but maybe we need our opacity masked? Like, we can't mask it out, damn it. Alright, well. We're gonna have to multiply some stuff out here as well. So it's gonna be this multiply. That should prevent. This will prevent refraction outside of our waterfall. Well, that doesn't look like it's working at all, does it? Alright, so let's just take a look at this real quick to see what we've got going on. Alright, so this value right here, if A, which is our U coordinate, is greater than 0, then it's going to be 1. Otherwise, if it's less than 0, it's going to be, if we preview this, this is always let's see this preview node here, so it's going to go, it's either going to be if A is greater than 0, like this black is 0, if A equals B, I guess we want to chop that off. Alright, so it's supposed to be that. Yeah, that looks better. So then our multiply here will hopefully take that out. Alright, let's stop previewing this thing and apply it. See what it's like. I mean, that's just not working at all, is it? Takes in texture value or value that simulates the index of refraction of the surface. So I guess maybe it should be 1 if this is 0. Like, that's what it should be looking like. You know, but like this value here should be zeros. So obviously, it's something that has to do with this. So we don't want to multiply it. It's basically, is it if we subtract? So it should be like, if it's a value of 1, if it's a value of 0, we have no, we're not going to be able to do this. It's going to be basically an if statement here again, which I don't really like using, but basically like so what's going to be going on is if this is if A is greater than B, then we are going to return this guy. Otherwise, we're going to return 1. So just like that. So hopefully that'll mask out our refraction. Yeah, so it's looking decent, as it should. So this is like a steady index of refraction. Now my question is, why do we got this like weird lighting stuff happening here? Is it a static lighting issue? Like when we actually hit play, we get these we get this bleed through. Is it because we're not rendering something? It's got to be something with the gaps in the rocks. Stupid rocks. How dare you? This is just ridiculous. No, that doesn't look like it has anything to do with that. It might have something to do with the reflection, though. Is that the reflection? Alright, well, why don't we just build the lighting, and we'll see if it's something that has to do with the lighting built and static stuff. And we're using really awful textures and stuff like that, but that's why we've got an artist. Because I just need to give them the right tools, and then they'll be able to make stuff look super, super amazing. But if all I hand them over is a bunch of crap, then, well, there's not much we can really do about that. Well, let's see if it is the planar reflection. Alright, so it is the planar reflection. So why would the planar reflection have issues at this point? I guess it's because when we're looking up or whatever, this sort of stuff. Let's see, if I hold the planar reflection short of the waterfall, you know, like put it there right there, what happens? Bad things. The water just... Did I move the water and not the reflection? Yeah, it looks like I did. Alright, so we're going to move this planar reflection. Like that. That looks really bad. Alright, well I'm going to go take a look at the other level's planar reflection values. Because there are different things you can actually set on the planar reflection, which change how it works. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at those values real quick. I'm just going to cheat here and take a screenshot of this, throw it on my other monitor. So let's take a look at this planar reflection. Alright, so the distortion strength we had at 0, the pre-filter roughness at something. So we can make this like super blurry. Alright, so does the blur do anything? mean, is it literally that if we look straight up here, that there's daylight? And what we have to do, and well, is just put a fucking ceiling on? I guess I shouldn't be swearing so much, but whatever. Alright, what if we just close the whole hole? Just bam. No, we're still getting reflection goo. Alright, so we got distance from plane. What is this? Receiving pixels at this distance begin to fade out the planar reflection. Alright, distance. Let's see. Receiving pixels whose normal is at this angle from the reflection plane will begin to fade out planar reflection. Alright, so pre-filter screen percentage, let's just say 100 extra FOV is useful. Normal distribution causing reads outside of the reflection texture. No. I mean, is it that we've got, you know, this plane here that may have. I mean, if we just throw this thing like way out in front or whatever. Yeah, it looks correct. So what about its position here is making this reflection stuff? Oh wait, it's not doing it anymore. Alright, why not? Why isn't it doing it? Is it the screen percentage? Oh, it's nothing. Okay, so yeah, we screwed this up again. Alright. Alright, it's probably that it needs a ceiling, and the reason it didn't work last time is because we copied and pasted a rock that's a static rock, and it was using static lighting. So let's see if it is static lighting that's causing this issue. Which, I mean, if you can see it in the editor or not see it in the editor, But you see it in the game. There's something with static stuff, probably. Just not built. This is still getting some issues here. Yeah, from over here, you can see that there's still these light things coming through. Now, why is that? It's just too close to this edge or whatever? Yeah, it's this reflection capture is capturing something here. So if we throw this over here, like we had it earlier, it's definitely something going on with all this. Well, let's snag like a big cube or something like that we can just shove right in there out of the test level. Let's snag one of these platforms that we have here. Snag this guy. Alright, so it has something to do with the reflection capture. Capturing light. So basically this reflection capture here is grabbing light when it looks up, and the objects that it's inside of are causing problems. So like if we threw like something up here, no, it's not going to work. So if we just throw this like right there, it fixes it. Yeah, okay. I hate how it loses the damn reticle when you toggle play. Like you can't move the thing anymore. Okay, so it definitely has to do with this sort of having an object here. I'm trying to figure out exactly what the properties of this are. Like, is it a distance to the capture plane itself? Or is it a distance back? Or is it a combination of the two? Well, was there something here where the capture plane actually has like a width on it? Alright, wow, that's interesting. Like, this object isn't anywhere where I would have expected this capture plane stuff to have any effect. But there it goes. It actually has an effect on this. So I guess it's basically that we need this capture plane to actually have, like, we need a real wall backing here. You know, like, this would definitely cover it. It has nothing to do with these big rocks in the top. It has to do with having some sort of thing here, so. So we'd want something, you know, that would block the light back here. Are you serious? Even that didn't work? But that does. Alright, well, we're going to throw it on no collision. Let's see, lighting. Let's say don't cast a shadow. And let's get our stuff looking correct here again. And we're getting more light bleed through once again with this thing. That is so messed up. Like that, the reflection capture stuff is, that's just wrong. Like that's just obviously messed up. It makes no sense to me that we'd have to throw like blockers and stuff out there to prevent the reflection capture from grabbing a whole bunch of garbage. How come this foliage crap is just opening up every single time? I don't want it to do that. Well, let's Google it real quick. Planar reflections, light bleeding through wall. Well, let's build the lighting again and see if that has anything to do with it. Because light bleed is something that I guess happens. And of course, the issue is if we throw blockers out there, you can see them. Lighting is always just so funky on these things. Trying to figure out like why something is messed up with some of this, because you know it's like, well, there's obviously stuff in the way, and just kind of poking around the engine and being like, well, you know, according to the documentation, this should work, but then it doesn't. And this has to do with this object here. Is it that it needs to not collide with something else? And like there's some other optimization that's happening with like a BSP tree or some crap? No, it literally just has to do with something. With this object needing to go block light a little bit farther away. I mean, that's just crazy. What? Yeah, I'm not seeing anything really in the documentation either about it. So I guess I just have to hide this thing? It's still screwed up, even with that crap in the way. There's no fucking winning with this. I mean, that plane has to be like perfectly placed, and otherwise, you know, all hell breaks loose for this stuff. That's, well, I'm writing it down. Alright. Planar reflections with refraction require specific blocking objects behind them to make sure light bleed doesn't happen. Oh, that's nasty. That's not good at all. Hello, Kento 456. Yeah, we're back working on this material. We're working on the refraction part of it. Alright, so the index of refraction is something we can actually set now. So let's play around with it and see what we can do with it. Alright, so this will be the refraction amount. So let's grab it and set it in here. So the refraction amount, alright, let's see, this is going to be exposed, and it's going to be, this is the amount of refraction. It's going to go from 1 to 1 to 10, default of 1. I guess it should go from something other than this, like from 0 to 3 or something. Default of 1. Alright. So if we have this waterfall, hit play, this is no refraction. I wish I could hide like specific folders of stuff and just not have them open when we do stuff. Like this foliage crap keeps fucking opening. Like, it's like, come on, stop opening. I can complain about anything really, can't I? Alright, so if we go to our world settings here, let's see. We want our refraction amount. So if we turn it to like 3, we get like something like this. We turn it if we put it at 0, not much happens.